There's a place right in the heart of America that almost feels forgotten. Endless skies, ghostly highways, and towns that whisper stories of what used to be. Kansas. It's the land people drive through, not to. But why? How did a state once considered the beating heart of the Midwest turn into one of the most deserted places in the country? Today, we're digging deep into the 8 biggest reasons why almost nobody lives in Kansas anymore. And some of them might surprise you. But before we start, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're pulling back the curtain, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's dive in. When you look at Kansas on paper, you might think nearly 3 million people sounds like a decent number. But the problem is, that number barely moves. Between 2010 and 2020, Kansas grew by just about 3%. That's one of the slowest growth rates in the entire country. Meanwhile, states like Texas, Florida, and Colorado exploded in population. What's happening is that most people simply aren't moving to Kansas, and many of the younger ones who grew up there aren't sticking around. In fact, 80 out of 105 counties in the state actually lost population over the past decade. So, while the cities like Wichita or Overland Park might look alive, vast stretches of the state are getting emptier every year. Small towns fading out, schools closing, and communities struggling to hang on. It's quiet. Sometimes a little too quiet. Kansas's economy has long revolved around agriculture. Wheat, corn, and cattle dominate the landscape. And while that's part of its identity, it's also a limitation. About 40% of Kansas's economy is tied, directly or indirectly, to farming and agriculture-related industries. The problem? Those jobs are shrinking fast due to automation and global competition. There just aren't enough new industries stepping in to replace them. Wichita used to be the air capital of the world, home to major aircraft manufacturers like Boeing and Cessna. But after Boeing left in 2012, the city never fully recovered. Tech jobs and startups, they're flocking to places like Austin or Denver, not Topeka. So while Kansas still works hard, its economy hasn't evolved fast enough to keep people there. For young professionals looking for opportunity, the options can feel painfully limited, leading many to pack up and leave. Kansas isn't called Tornado Alley for nothing. The state averages around 90 tornadoes every year, second only to Texas. And that's not even counting the blistering summers and brutal winters. In July, it's common to see triple-digit heat combined with choking humidity, while January can bring icy winds sweeping across the plains. The unpredictability of Kansas weather isn't just inconvenient, it's costly. Farmers lose millions annually to droughts, hailstorms, and floods. Homeowners pay some of the highest property insurance premiums in the Midwest because of the constant risk of storm damage. It's hard to feel settled when nature feels like it's constantly testing you. Add in the occasional dust storm and severe thunderstorms that roll across the horizon, and you start to understand why some people decide it's just not worth it. Beautiful sunsets can only make up for so much when your roof keeps flying away. One of Kansas's biggest issues isn't just people leaving, it's who is leaving. Young, educated residents are moving out at alarming rates. A 2023 report from the Kansas Department of Commerce showed that the state loses more college graduates than it keeps. Kansas State, KU, and Wichita State produce thousands of skilled graduates every year, but most of them head straight for cities like Kansas City, Denver, or Dallas after getting their degrees. The main reason? Better jobs and better pay elsewhere. Rural counties are hit hardest, losing teachers, healthcare workers, and even local business owners. This brain drain creates a cycle that's tough to break. Fewer educated workers mean fewer businesses want to invest there, which in turn drives more young people away. It's not that Kansas lacks talent, it's that it struggles to hold on to it. And that leaves entire regions hollowed out. All right, pause for a second. I've got to ask you something. What do you think about Kansas so far? Does it deserve its reputation, or do you think it's just misunderstood? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I really want to see how divided people are on this one. And while you're there, hit that like button if you've ever driven through Kansas or know someone who's from there. It really helps the channel grow and lets me know you want more videos like this. Let's be honest. When people think fun weekend getaway, Kansas isn't exactly at the top of the list. Outside a few cultural spots like Lawrence or parts of Wichita, the state doesn't offer much in the way of nightlife, concerts, or big attractions. You can drive for hours across the plains without finding much more than chain restaurants and a few gas stations. For many younger people, that lack of variety becomes unbearable. There's no ocean, no mountains, no major theme parks, and while small-town charm has its appeal, it doesn't replace a thriving social scene. Even locals admit that you have to make your own fun in Kansas. That might work for families or retirees, but for 20-somethings looking for excitement or career networking, the state feels isolated. Without more vibrant communities, Kansas struggles to compete with states that blend opportunity and entertainment. Living in rural Kansas often means you're far from essential services, especially healthcare. Over the past 2 decades, more than 10 rural hospitals have shut down in the state. Some counties don't have a single practicing doctor or dentist. That creates dangerous situations for residents, who might have to drive over an hour just to reach an emergency room. The same problem extends to education. Small towns are losing schools due to budget cuts and declining enrollment. In some districts, students travel 30 or 40 miles a day just to attend class. These gaps make it difficult for families to stay, and even harder to attract new ones. Without strong schools and hospitals, communities start to crumble. People move to cities where they can feel safer and better supported. It's not about luxury. It's about access to the basics that make life sustainable. Kansas has a long and complicated political history, and lately, it's been marked by division and gridlock. Over the past decade, the state has swung from deep conservative policies to bitter partisan fights that scared off investors and frustrated residents. The 2012 tax experiment, for instance, slashed state income taxes under the idea that it would boost business. Instead, it led to massive budget shortfalls, cuts to education, and crumbling infrastructure. Many Kansans felt the effects firsthand. Schools shortened class weeks, and rural roads went unpaved for years. Even though that policy was reversed, the damage lingered. Today, many feel the state government still moves too slowly to solve big issues like healthcare expansion or renewable energy investment. Leaders can't agree on basic progress, they lose faith, and sometimes they just leave for somewhere that feels more forward-thinking. Finally, there's the simple issue of geography. Kansas is in the middle of everything, but somehow that means it's far from everywhere. It's landlocked, no coastlines, no major mountains, and few natural features that draw outsiders in. For many residents, traveling anywhere interesting means a long drive or a pricey flight. Even within the state, things are spread out. Small towns can be 30 or 40 miles apart. Internet access is another problem. Rural broadband coverage still lags behind national averages, with thousands of homes lacking reliable high-speed service. That makes remote work and modern businesses harder to sustain. The sense of isolation isn't just physical, it's cultural. People in Kansas often feel disconnected from the country's biggest conversations and opportunities. It's peaceful, sure, but peace can easily turn into loneliness when the rest of the world feels out of reach. At the end of the day, Kansas isn't empty because it failed. It's empty because it changed. The world moved faster than it could keep up. Its wide-open plains, once full of promise, now echo with the quiet of what's been left behind. But maybe that's what makes it hauntingly beautiful. The silence, the simplicity, the space to breathe. If you enjoyed uncovering that story with me, hit like, tap subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because trust me, we're just getting started.